What's the whole culture of having to grade or wanting to see graded everything that happens in sports on a day-to-day, case-by-case basis? But I am here to tell you that the George Pickens trade yesterday should not be viewed in that capacity at all. Good morning to you. Good Thursday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into hockey and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates, the other two teams in town that I cover, and I hope you'll check those out as well. The Steelers, of course, traded Pickens to the Cowboys yesterday in exchange for Dallas's third-round pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. There also was a swap of late rounders in 2027. This, predictably, was going to get at least some reaction that would evaluate the exchange right then and there. Just bang, what's sitting there in front of them? Pickens for a third rounder. Well, that's bad. Pickens was drafted in the second round. Pickens can do incredible things. But all you could get for him was a third rounder? Seems bad. Leaves a hole in the offense. Seems bad. Might help the Cowboys. Might make us look bad on all the sports highlights. Seems bad. All of that is about as close to immaterial as it gets. Let me take you into the world of what sports executives talk about, but even within that, what they think about and what they discuss among their peers, the people working under them, and those in the actual industry. I'm not. I'm sharing with you what they share with me. The old school way to view a trade, any sport, is put this over here, put that over there, and see which one lined up. New school way, accumulate assets. Get the assets that you need to eventually make the trade that you want. It might be something that's more important than what's in the moment. It might be something that's less important, but you'll at least have something with which to work. Think of it as going shopping. You're free to look around and see what you like, but you might not be able to afford everything, or they might be all out of what it is that you were seeking in the first place. But you'll at least be able to go back again when something is available and still have those assets at hand. Omar Khan, to his credit, and I really hope this part gets appreciated, has been open about wanting to build up such assets. He is doing things differently than Kevin Colbert did. Colbert very rarely made trades of any kind, and when he did, they were of the old school variety. Dolphins say Minkah Fitzpatrick's available. Whoa, here's a first-round pick. There's your trade. Bang. Nothing else to it. But in the modern game, there are so many different things that can be viewed as assets. Cap space is an asset unto itself. The Steelers are about to be swimming in cap space. They have plenty enough this offseason, but next offseason, it's ridiculous. Draft picks in all rounds are assets. Based on comp picks and other formulas, the Steelers appear to be in line to have a dozen picks in the next draft, the one in Pittsburgh. 12 picks in 7 rounds. They're not using those, meaning they're not going to emerge from that class with 12 players. They're going to move those picks around. They're going to try to move up. They might try to move way up. They might try to move way up for exactly the thing that everybody's wanted to see them get. Other assets, other ways to view assets. Deshaun Elliott is a perfect one. Elliott was signed last summer for 2 years at $6 million, meaning $6 million total. And he played in his age 27 season an extraordinary safety. He had to be one of the better bargains in the entire league, meaning his performance relative to his price. That's an asset. I could do this all day. The point is that with this trade, the Steelers achieved not one, but 2 objectives, and they're on parallel tracks, not necessarily related. One, they got rid of George. They wanted to get rid of George before his walk year. They weren't going to force the issue. If no one was going to offer their price, they weren't going to just hand him away. But if they thought they could get the asset that they were looking for, they'd go ahead and make the move. Well, they got the offer, they executed. As I'm saying here all the time, they can take the hardest stance they want, but one phone call like that can change everything. And that's what happened. Nobody needs me to revisit for the billionth time, and I've only talked about this for the better part of a couple of years now, what made life with George so difficult. Nor does anybody need to hear from me how much more difficult it was about to become, with the very real possibility of a hold in or a hold out, and all the requisite drama that comes with that. No thanks. And the other reason, and this part Omar's not going to spell out for anybody, but I will, they want their franchise quarterback. And they're doing the things that we've all hoped they would do for years. They're finally getting around to it. And to something else I've been clamoring for on this show for a while, they're diversifying their portfolio, as the money people like to say. Mason Rudolph's here. If he were to catch fire, if he were to find the Sam Darnold / Geno Smith phase of his career, great. He's right here. Awesome. Adjust as needed. If Will Howard, who's not going to compete for anything in 2025, but if he were to impress management behind the scenes, in practice, in some other form, in crazy emergency duty, and he looks like he could be it, adjust as needed. But you're also entering the 2026 draft, which has a nice bank of quarterbacks sitting up there at the top, and putting yourself into position where you can at least go shopping. And if and when that happens and the Steelers use that pick, the one that they just got for George, as part of some package, not a soul anywhere is going to say, hey, good thing they made that George trade so they could pull this off. When we come back, J1Q.
This segment of Daily Shot is brought to you by our good friends at Mike's Beer Bar. They're located on Federal Street, directly across from PNC Park. Mike has more than 500 beers on tap, including from more than 50 local breweries. Stop in and say hello. Tell Mike we sent you. Mike's Beer Bar.
Today's J1Q comes from Brandon Jones, who says, DK, I'm genuinely taken aback at how many people seem surprised by this trade. George Pickens is a man among boys in terms of size and talent, but a boy among men in terms of his attitude and maturity. I mean, I hate to lose him. I absolutely hate it. But he would have been a massive distraction over his contract situation. Now, on the other hand, Brandon concludes here, if Omar Khan doesn't add a competent number 2 wide receiver before the season, ... Well, now that's the other part of this, isn't it? I am of the belief that Omar not only has to get that component done, but I'm of the belief that he will. This isn't directly applicable, but hear me out on this. After the season, I was told that there was some discomfort within the organization about the way the whole Mike Williams thing played out. A, the Steelers waited way too long to get him. B, by the time they did get him, for whatever reasons, he didn't get utilized much at all, let alone properly. And it ended up exposing what should have been, so I'm not making excuses for them here, a known gaping hole in this offense. So rephrasing this here for further emphasis, you can blame, if you choose, Mike Tomlin for having Williams and not putting him on the field. You can blame Arthur Smith for it if you think he's responsible. That's not the kind of thing that's easily decipherable without being in those rooms physically. But the bottom line is the person who handles player acquisition, talent acquisition, asset acquisition, had WR2 atop his list for months. And we don't have to guess at that because we saw what all was involved in the discussions that happened with the 49ers related to Brandon Ayuk. We know Omar was in on Ayuk. We know that he was in heavily on Ayuk. And we further know that not much happened post Ayuk until they got to Williams. This is why I'm of the belief that Omar is going to get it done this time. So citing last year, the year before, or whatever, is, for me, going to go in one ear and out the other. I believe this is different. I believe that Omar is going to operate with a different level of experience, meaning lesson learned experience, and, yet again, because he has the assets. Anybody who's available in free agency right now, he can get. Now, of course, they have to come here. It takes two to tango and all that. But he has the wherewithal to do it. He has the cap space. He has the trade capital in the form of all these draft picks. He can get this done. I believe he must get this done. But way more important than any of that, I believe that he will get this done. And if and when he does, the next measurement that needs to take place, whoever this wide receiver happens to be, but let's just say for example purposes only that it's Gabe Davis, who was cut loose by the Jaguars, still would appear to have some good days ahead of him in the National Football League at age 26. If this happens, or if it's somebody else, when they get compared, which they inevitably will be, to Pickens, and however it is that Pickens fares in Dallas or wherever it is, everything's got to be put into it. It's not just going to be about the numbers, regardless of who the numbers favor. It's got to be about the player's attitude, how much they're willing to help the team, how engaged are they in X percentage of the snaps versus how many they tune out for, how much friction do they cause in the locker room. And if those balance out, and if whoever the replacement is for George effectively neutralizes the loss of George, even if it's not in the area of super awesome, spectacular somersault and midair catches, then this will all just be fine. But this thing yesterday was only one component. Lots more to come. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow for the start of rookie minicamp on the South Side.